important natural areas here. And also, I do believe it will benefit the developer. I feel that people will really be drawn to Chatham Park because of those natural elements. But with that said, at what point do we set aside the natural areas? If we allow building to begin, then what's to stop them from building on areas that we later wish we had protected? And it seems like that piece should happen before we approve the zoning. And I just wonder what your thoughts are on that.
Yeah, I did mention with regard to the open space planning that I think that you can set some percentages and thresholds early in this process. I mean, it's part of this PDD master plan to be able to do that. And you may miss a few things. You're going to get what I call the low-hanging fruit. You're going to get the stream buffers and the things that are sort of listed. Maybe you can list steep slopes that are in there, 20% or more. There's lots of different things you can include that are part of that calculation that then would get either resolved or rectified when you look at other areas. I mean, ultimately, they do have to look at the big picture of how all the open space networks get tied together. That's something that needs to happen, sooner rather than later. And again, I think that that's something that can be done fairly easily. We do that all the time as part of the master planning work we do for communities. The first thing we set, we look at all the GIS layers, and we can pull all that information out and give you what that percentage might be. It's just a raw calculation. So we can get those numbers in there, start there, and then you reconcile it later on. I mean, the percentages that I'm talking about relative to the overall development are not, they're significant, but I think if you keep it clustered, which my guess is they're probably going to want to, they're going to want to keep it near major infrastructure today, to start with those current phases, so I'm less concerned about intruding into the tougher areas.
I just have one other report that you talked about some other options besides the PDD. You talked about the traditional neighborhood development and the continental district process, and I just wondered, all right, if you were doing this, in your opinion, would the town of Pittsburgh benefit more from one of those methods than PDD?
Well, you're sort of in the middle of it now, so it's like saying, we're not pregnant anymore. Let's try it a different way this time. The conditional district as a tool is virtually identical. Excuse me. So there's really no difference. I sort of point that out because that's really the legal underpinning of what gives you the authority to do PDDs here in this community. The traditional neighborhood development ordinance is something that we use in a couple of different communities. We did it recently for Wake Forest. That's a good tool for a smaller area, but does break down when you look at a very large area because you tend to get multiple neighborhoods.
I was really thinking not necessarily for Chatham Park, but for some of the surrounding land that's going to develop.
Yes.
We might want to look at some of these other ways
I would encourage
about
that.
it. And would that be a good idea, do you think?
Yes.
I had a quick question about your